Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Project Supremacy weekly webinars. And so we're going to go over we don't have anything super new to discuss today. We're still working on a few things in the background, but we do have a couple of items that we want to touch on. Herc and I were just discussing this about 10 minutes ago. And instead of me giving you the rundown, I think I'll just go ahead and turn it over to Herc and let you guys know what's up today. All right, Herc, all yours.
Okay, thanks, Todd. I guess, guys, we'll just go over like the updates that have happened. Let's actually start with updates. Okay, when a new update rolls out, okay, we'll typically talk about it or post it in the group or whatever, or you may not hear about it. But I've covered this once before. I will cover it again. If you go to your website's view, okay, down here is the version of Project Supremacy that's active on your site. If it's red, that means there's a newer version. If it's black, that means you're on the current version, okay? And the quick way to update sites, and anytime you have a problem, any sort of problem you're about to open a support ticket, the thing you should do first is always update your plugin and check to see if the problem still exists. A lot of times the update will deal with a lot of the problems. But a quick way to update a site before you go into it and work on it is this tab right here, this manual update tab. This will only show when there is an update available. If you're on a current version, it will not show. So if you just click it, that will update your plugin for you, okay? And then if you get this message, plugin is already at the latest version, 3.053. The reason it's still showing the old version is that it's already updated itself, but the site hasn't synced itself yet, okay? So all you have to do now is go into the Manage tab for that site, okay? Click over to your plugins and you'll see 3051. That just means it hasn't synchronized yet, okay? So you can manually synchronize any site by just clicking the sync button. This synchronization function does happen on your sites every 24 hours or so, depending on when you install the plugin. But always update your plugin and run the sync so that you get the freshest update of the site. And there you can see it's now updated to a black version 0.0.53, and the update button has disappeared. Now, if the reverse kind of happens where the synchronization hasn't happened yet and the plugin hasn't been updated, let's try on this one. You'll get a different note. Okay, let's see. Hopefully this one will work as I'm explaining this example. Two things will happen if the sync hasn't happened and the plugin's not updated. It will update itself and it will immediately sync. There you go. So successfully updated PSv3 down in the bottom right, it's green. It shows it updated and then it turned itself black. So in the first scenario, it's kind of good to see this. In the first scenario, the sync had already run. It just didn't manually sync itself. We had to manually sync it. And in this one, the update had not run. So we did it, and then it synced itself automatically. What I'll probably do is anytime V3 runs on a cron job to update, we'll put that sync process to happen immediately after, so that we can avoid the situation where you press update, it says, hey, it's already on the latest version, but it's not showing it. So that's a small fix, and we'll fix that. So all of that, guys, is about updating PSv3 on your sites and how to do it. The other thing that you may see is if a bunch of manual, or I'll call them cron jobs, if a bunch of cron jobs did run and updated, you can sometimes see V3 updates in your plugins here. Right now I don't have any, but sometimes you'll see PSv3 updates here. You can also update from there as well. If anything goes wrong, you'll get the notification of what went right and what went wrong. So the updates, the big update to the dashboard really is our schema. We kind of redesigned the schema assignment function. Okay, so here we are, we're on a site. Let's make sure it's updated. We're going to work on it. I always do this. Okay, it's already updated, so now we just have to sync it. So we'll go to Manage Website, and we'll go to Plugins just to take a peek. v3 5.2. I know 5.3, so we'll just synchronize it, and then that'll update to 5.3. There you go. So the schemas, guys, this new look, maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but it's been redesigned. We used to assign schemas. We'd have a box of schemas, all the available schemas that you built in your schema tab, and you could just drag them over, okay? And we actually updated that. Now what we have is collapsible schemas. So what these are showing is all the parent schemas, okay? If there's any child schemas within a parent, it's already built in. So all we show here is parent schemas, okay? And to assign them to pages now, you would, okay, if you're working on the home page, you would click on the home page button, and that's going to show you the schema that's on your home page. And I'll just show you how to remove it and replace it. It's simple. It's there. Now there's no schema, and when I want to add it, I just click it, and now it's added. Make sure you're always saving your changes when you're doing stuff. So you have your home page schemas, and then if you want to add schemas to an individual page, the update that happened, the reason why it happened is because what we had before was just posts and pages where we were able to assign schema to, but people were coming with like WooCommerce sites and blogs that had like custom post types like projects or like menus. There's all kinds of custom post types, and we wanted to be able to support schema on custom post type pages. There was a guy in the support desk who actually had a plugin that had locations as a custom post type for a local site, so we wanted to be able to support that. So now what you'll be able to do, okay, is obviously go to your schema editor, build your schema or whatever, and then it will show up here. But then when you want to assign it to a page, you would go into your manage website for the site that you want to assign it for, okay? And then you go over to the page, and then what you do is select what you want to assign the schema to. It'll either be post, pages, or a custom post type. So in this instance, let's just go with pages, okay? And it'll load all your pages. I can choose to see more entries as well. Let's just do 50, okay? And then it becomes a scrollable window. And now this window will show what pages have schema on them already. Like for instance, Bitcoin investing, a smart long-term move, already has my brand schema on it, okay? And it's showing that, okay? And this is a clickable link. It'll take you into the schema editor. But if I wanted to assign that same brand to other pages, then all I'd have, so let's put the brand schema on how to mine Bitcoin's profitably. I'll select that page, okay? And now it's ready to go. I can now assign the schema to that particular page, okay, by just clicking the checkbox or, you know, the X box, okay? So it's a little bit new. It's just a little bit of a different function. It actually has more functionality because now we're supporting custom post types, and then the assignment and removal of schemas has changed just a little tiny bit, okay? The next place that we updated to share this same functionality was actually in the PS SEO box. So if you go to any of your pages, posts, or custom post types in the PS SEO box, if you click on the schema button and you want to assign a new schema, it's going to be the exact same thing. Okay, so there's our schemas. To assign them, we could just download them, and it shows them by parents so that all the children come. The difference in the plugin, guys, is that before this last update, all schema types were showing whether it be parents or childs. So to properly implement a child into a parent, you would have to actually assign everything, and it just wasn't a parallel functionality in the PS SEO box as it was to the dashboard, okay? And I typically, when I'm assigning schemas, guys, I'm typically doing it in the dashboard anyways because I build them here, so it's just easy to assign them here. But we did want to build the same functionality into the PS SEO box just because it is nice sometimes when you're working, like say you're updating a page or you're just building a page or a post and you want a quick way to add the schemas that you built, you can still do it from here. It's just part of the functionality of V3 where there's a lot of ways to skin a cat with V3. There's different areas that you can achieve the same functionality. So but we want them to be parallel functionalities and visually parallel. You know, they need to look the same and function the same in all places. So that's now done, and that's the biggest update for the schema. The backup issue, guys, I know that there's a lot of tickets in for people who are running backups and they're failing. Okay. What's going on there is, and we didn't expect this at first, but what's going on is basically you're running a backup, and what has to happen is V3 has to make a connection to your web host and say, okay, create a zip file for a backup, compress it, and then download it. But that entire process is basically taking longer than the allowed connection time before a timeout will automatically drop between the communication. So the guys are working on the functionality to fix that issue. We're hoping to be done that this week, and that will fix hopefully like 99% of issues with people who are having backups fail on them. So there'll be a new update out probably this week or something like that that'll address that. As we're talking about, you know, what things are happening when. If we go into news tab, or if you go into your news tab and you want to see like what are the things that are being worked on, or what are the updates that have happened, you can actually click on news and then go to change log, and you're actually able to click on every single version of the change log to see what's been done on that particular version of the plugin. So like 3.0.53, we redesigned the assign schema in the PSSEO box, and then the projects, we fixed the length issue with the group description. So I'll actually cover that one too. Basically what it was, guys, is we recently updated the PSSEO box, okay, with the description length of 300 characters to stay, you know, in time with what Google is allowing. But what people were finding, whether they were updating their description here or updating it in the project planner, they would write a long description over 255 characters, save it, and it would update properly, but it would truncate itself. It would only go to a max of 255 characters and then just drop the rest of the words. And the reason that that was happening was in our MySQL table, we only had a limit of 255 characters for the description field. So that's been updated. You can now have as long of descriptions as you want, and they will save properly now. Let's see what else is going on. Oh yeah, our export websites log. Let's go over to a dashboard. If you guys ever want a list of your websites in a Excel format file, what you could do is click over to your websites, okay, and then you see there's a little export button here. So what we can do is download a CSV file. So let's just call this my sites, or whatever you want to call it. Select the columns that you want to export. So usually I'll do domain name. I don't care about the blog name or description. The status is good. The indexation status, I guess that might be helpful. The tags that you've assigned to it, and then the date deactivated, I don't really care about. So then we can export that. And let me just show you why that's useful and handy. So let's export that. And I will get to your questions, guys. I see, Rick, you're asking questions, and I'll get to those in a second. So there's my sites. I'm going to save that to my desktop, and then we'll open it and show you how to work with it. Okay, here it is. Yeah, it's already downloaded, so let me grab it. Here we go. It's on my other screen, but I'll drag it over. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there's my domain, there's my status, there's my indexation. 1, obviously index, 0, not index, our tags. Okay, and the reason that these are nice is just because if I want to like look at, you know, the indexation status at a glance for something like Easy Blog Networks, I can always filter by sorting, okay, or I can actually just create what do you call them? Here we go. Let me do this. I forget what it's called, but data filter, auto filter on. Okay, so now I can just say, okay, show me all my Easy Blog Network sites. Okay, and everything's mostly indexed. Everything's Easy Blog Networks, and then here's my tag 2, which is basically, you know, my host, and then the type of site and shit like that. So that's how that works. Super handy to have. And then let me see. I'm looking at their work at the dev group here. Projects good, backups good, exporting websites good. The last thing that I'll show you guys is what's coming for you. Okay, this guy. So this is our development area. Okay, so it's literally a mirror of what you guys see, but it's where we build in new features and stuff like that. So you see a tab up here that you guys don't see in your accounts called Shop. And what Shop is, this is coming really, really soon. We've already gone through initial testing on this and things are working pretty good. What Shop is going to be is for anyone that, you know, say you buy a $37 a month package or whatever package you're on, but you want to buy more of certain elements. So like say you want to buy more scraping credits, and scraping credits are for searching the in title, in URL, that kind of competition data, you'll be able to buy more. Okay, so you would just select the one you want, select how many more scraping credits you want, the price updates automatically, and then we have an annual discount of 15%. So you would just select all those things and you'll be able to buy more of individual features of Project Supremacy, because I know some people are already asking, like, I want more keywords in my package, or I want more sub accounts, or I want to upgrade, you know, a lot of $37 accounts that are managing 10 websites, or they're like, well, how do I upgrade? I want to add an additional 10 websites. So that's the Shop, and that's done, and it's pretty much tested and it's on its way. We will be adding this billing. So we are going to move over eventually to internal billing, where we're actually not going through Zaxa or Deal Garden anymore. We have absolutely built our own. So you guys will soon be able to see the billing, which will kind of show you information about your account. It'll show you any of your shop orders, or your shop billing log, your membership billing log, everything like that. It'll just give you all your information. So those are the things that are coming. The shop's going to come first. We're going to put the shop out hopefully in the next week or so, but the other ones are going to take a little bit longer. So those are all the big updates that are coming. And before I get into Q&A, there is basically, guys, I've been spending a lot more time in the support desk, just kind of wanting to see if there's like recurring issues and stuff coming up like that, and wanting to work with you guys personally one-on-one to see, you know, what things are happening. And it gives me ideas of things to talk about on webinars. And definitely one of the things that I want to talk about is like setting up your blogs, like when you're starting with new settings. So after you install V3, one of the first things you should do is do any migrations that are available to you. So if you go to your Supremacy V3 plugin inside your WordPress site and you go to dashboard, migration is available to you. That'll help you migrate everything from V2 over to V3. Or if you're using Yoast SEO plugin or all-in-one SEO plugin, you'll be able to migrate over your SEO settings. And it's as simple as clicking a button. It'll tell you, you know, we see Yoast, or we see all-in-one, or we see Project Supremacy. Do you want to migrate your information over? Just click yes, and it'll migrate over. A lot of Yoast people, what the recommended steps are for migrating from Yoast is install V3, make sure Yoast is still active, migrate Yoast over, okay? And then check to see, like, go to your posts and your pages and check to see that the titles and the URLs and stuff like that are migrated properly. You also want to make sure that if you are going to use Project Supremacy to control your on-page elements, so things like title, description, H1, and URL, make sure you guys have this turned on. Where is it? Sorry, it's in SEO settings. Where is it? It's basically forcing PSSEO. Oh, it was there. Sorry, I just saw it. Okay, force enabling PSSEO. Make sure that's turned on. Okay, set to yes. The reason why is if you're moving from any other SEO plugin to ours, you want to make sure that all your pages, all your posts, all your custom post types are being controlled by Project Supremacy, okay? Both in the past and in the future. So make sure you're setting that to yes, okay? So once that's set to yes, the easy way to test that it's working, I'll show you two ways. Just go to your posts tab or your pages tab, okay? and see this little box right here, we have a icon for Project Supremacy. You'll either have an X, meaning it's turned off, or you'll have a check mark, meaning it's turned on. You want to make sure that if you're moving to PSSEO, that to handle your titles and descriptions, that you have a green check mark, meaning that all your pages and posts and custom post types are being controlled by Project Supremacy. Okay, and then we can actually go look at the pages as well, and I'll show you another place to look at this. There's always, like I said, a bunch of places to look at things. Here it is in this instance. Okay, everything's turned on. Good, that's what I want. The third place to do that is if you go to the actual website. Okay, in your manage website function, you go over to your posts and pages. Okay, this actually got a big update a few days back, but here's where you can see your PS SEO and your PS schema, if it's enabled or disabled. So I'll just disable it to show you what it looks like. Okay, you'll see an X or you'll see a check, basically, right? Our pages and post editor, just kind of to skip, and I'll get back to this Yoast migration in a second, but we did the same thing with our pages and post editor where we broke it down into post type. So if you only want to look at your posts, your pages, or whatever custom post types are installed on your WordPress blog, you can do that. So I can select posts and it'll only load posts. Then I can show like 100 entries. Okay, and then we can do things in bulk. So for instance, I want to make sure everything's enabled. I just click the select all button, and then our bulk actions, I would enable PS SEO and click apply, right? And then it will do everything in bulk. So here you see that everything's turned on. This particular post has article schema on it. So it's another way to make sure PS SEO is turned on. So now once you guys have PS SEO turned on, you've migrated your Yoast settings over, okay? You go into your actual post or page, and you just want to compare your Yoast plugin with your PS SEO plugin. What I would do, guys, is you see here how you have like a revisions bar and excerpts bar. These are expandable or collapsible. Where you can see all the options of what boxes are showing up here is if you go up here, if you go up here to the screen options tab and you click this down, these are all the options that you can have showing on your paste and post editors. Okay, so make sure that your PS SEO is showing, make sure that your Yoast is showing, and then of course whatever ones you want. And then what you should do, okay, drag your PS SEO box. You can collapse this as well. Drag it up to the top, and these are, I mean, this isn't necessary. It's just very handy. Drag it up to the top so it's right underneath your post editor. Drag your Yoast or your other SEO plugin, run it right underneath it. Open them both up, compare your titles and your descriptions and your URLs with PS SEO to Yoast. Make sure everything is the same. Once all of that stuff is done and you're happy with everything, then what you can do is just disable Yoast or deactivate the Yoast plugin or the other SEO plugin. Don't delete it, just disable it for now. And the reason why is give it about a week for Google to come in and recrawl your page, recrawl your titles and shit like that. Once you're happy with everything, you now have a choice, okay? You can either just leave Yoast deactivated and save all your settings in case anything bad ever happened again, or once you're fully 100% confident with Project Supremacy, you can at that point delete the Yoast plugin just to clean up your blog and save space like that, okay? So that's the entire process of migrating from Yoast or other SEO plugins over to Project Supremacy. The last thing I want to talk about, guys, is your titles and settings and shit like that. Typically what you're going to do is go to Google first and just do a site search for the site that you want to look at. Okay, so with Bitcoin, we're seeing a lot of like, this page 10 and, wow, it's already updated. I only changed this a little while ago, but like these page 8s and stuff like that. Sometimes you'll see descriptions like this older entries and shit like that. If you guys want to clean up your kind of your SERP listing and shit like that, and you want to make sure your titles are displaying correctly and shit like that, what you can do is go to V3, go to SEO settings on your plugin side, okay? And then you want to set these correctly, okay? Your homepage SEO, default homepage SEO. Typically, guys, if you're assigning a post or a page as your homepage, the PS SEO box will write the title for that. If you have a blog where your front page is like a feed of all your blog posts, you'll need to fill this in to control your title and template, okay? Then you're gonna wanna move over to your post types. So here we have your post and your page. By default, what I usually do, guys, is I only have title, okay? And then description, we can add the description or whatever, but I typically control those in the project planner or the per page. But if you want to set a good default so that a nice thing happens when you forget to control it individually, just set these to title. And then for description, you can see all the options that you have for PS SEO defaults. You would probably want to put in your PS SEO description as a default. You can see replaced with PS SEO description. Throw that in there as well, okay? Posts and pages, you always want to index and follow, meaning you want Google to index them, and you also want Google to crawl the links that are within them, okay? So I always have these set to no. Don't just set them to no so that the right thing happens. If you set it to yes, it will not index them in Google, but it will still follow them, meaning it will be taken out like of the Google indexation. Where I sometimes play with those, okay, post pages are the default WordPress ones. But any custom post types like project, it's your choice. If you want to not index them in Google, you can set that to yes. Okay, it'll still follow them and spider throughout them, but it won't index them. Now, there's always like the big question of whether it's good to have those or not. Okay, so if someone does a site search for Google, they see a whole bunch of shit that you may not intend, stuff like this, older entries, you know, all kinds of just extra stuff, you know, like the category pages and the older entry pages and you know, date pages and stuff like that. Here's the thing. To me, typically I leave those on. I let Google index them because it's just another opportunity to rank and get traffic. It's kind of unintentional, but unintentional traffic is still traffic, right? And typically if you're optimizing your posts and your pages correctly, those are the things you're going to rank for your intended keywords anyways. Anything else is an additional benefit as in traffic and rankings. But if you're kind of really anal and you want to have really clean site searches, then you would want to turn those things off. You'd want to set these to yes, don't index anything other than posts and pages. And then the other big one is taxonomies as well, right? Which are like your categories, your tags, nav menus, link categories, and shit like that. And you can see for this site, I'm testing turning everything on. I just did this yesterday so that I can see what it looks like to have a really clean site search listing. Okay. So that's just one way to do it. Another way, and that's, remember, everything in PS SEO settings are default settings, meaning this is going to be your default unless you supply a specific instruction on a page or post level to do something different. Okay. And how to do that is what I'll show next. Yeah, there's also MISC. So there's going to be post types, taxonomies, and MISCs where you're going to want to control that. So let's actually set these all to on as well. 404 pages. Yep. Okay, we'll make sure you save your changes. Open graph defaults are another good one that you should be setting for really, really good overall experience. Now, to control those individually, guys, all you have to do is go to your posts. Okay, so actually a page would be a better example for something like a contact page or a TOS, terms of service, or a privacy page or something like that. Here we go, a TOS page, okay. I can go into the edit box for this TOS page. By default, I have everything set up the way I want, but individually, what I can do for this particular page, okay, is I can go over to robots, okay. I can turn on our robots and I'll set my index type to do not index this page, but do follow it. And it'll create the HTML header entry for me for this page to not index it, sorry, to index it, but not follow, or sorry, not index it because it's not an important page, but definitely crawl it, definitely follow it, okay? So that's how you, and then just update it. And that's how you guys can globally or individually control those kind of items in the SERPs, okay? So if I wanted to clean this up. So now I have this blog set to be really cleaned up. What else do you have? to have the top right on? Yeah, good question. This button right here, everyone's asking about. If this is set to off, okay, so let's actually just check the page. So we're on the TOS page. If I set that to off, what that's going to do is turn off every function of all functions here. Okay, this is like a global on-off. Okay, and it's the same thing that I showed earlier with forcing homepage schemas, and you see it's turned itself right back on, but it's because I have force homepage schema turned on, which I have force PS SEO turned on by default because I want every page controlled by Project Supremacy. But if you have that turned off and you're doing things on an individual basis, you can turn this off, and then none of these functions will be included in your page or post when it's rendered. Okay, but what we're probably going to do is turn this into an individual on-off. So like how robots has an individual on-off, and then we'll have social with an individual on-off, schema with an individual on-off, or a global. We always like modularizing things so that you have absolute complete control over everything. That's probably it, guys, as far as me wanting to like teach and cover new things. We did redo, I'll kind of come back to this now because we did renew this. We added, you have the ability, guys, to add new posts and pages, by the way, right from here. So if I wanted to make a new post to how to make money with Bitcoin, but I didn't want to log into the how to make money with Bitcoin site, I can actually add a new post from here. Okay, we have a post editor here. I can add images and links and everything I want. And then I can set it to schedule, you know, I can schedule new posts and shit like that later on. We can do that. That got a kind of an overhaul as well. Or if you wanted to edit a particular post, you could always click the edit button and it'll take you over. I thought it actually opened up in there, but I guess it takes you over to the actual edit page. But this whole thing got a really big redesign as well. So everything's just like functioning better and better and smarter and smarter. The other thing that we updated too, I don't know if you guys noticed, but see how anywhere that you guys need to use a username or sensitive data like API, and I can finally show it now, we have it start out so that it's private. If you want to show it and reveal it, you can click this little button and it'll reveal it. Where it becomes important for me, especially when I'm presenting as an API keys, I now have all my API keys hidden and I can show them to myself just by clicking the reveal button. That's another feature that we put in as well. Hiding sensitive information. Let's see what else. Rick, what you found is when you copy a child schema to a new page and then alter the values, it changes the values on the original page as well. Yeah, Rick, because if you, let me just make sure I'm understanding this question. When you copy a child schema to a new page and then alter the values, it changes the values on the original page. So are you talking about like the first thing you do in schema, okay, is let's show this. So like say for instance, I have this miscellaneous, I have an article, okay, and I want to create this article on a new page. So I would duplicate it first, right, to make the new copy. So there's my duplicate. So and then next I would save it as a new name. So now it would be like something like Bitcoin, okay, save it. And then, oops, missed a tab. Okay, so now I have a new one, but you're saying if you edit the first one, it'll affect the copy? Is that what you're saying, Rick? It'll affect the original from which you copied it? Because remember, you always assign schemas to your site, but if you go in and you edit a schema while it's assigned to your site, it will just auto update your site because everything in PSv3 is database driven, guys. We store everything in databases. So when we write, you know, this article Bitcoin, when we write this schema, okay, for play guitar schema, and then we call on it or we assign it to a site, what we're really doing is we're not actually assigning the schema to the site more than we're actually assigning a connection between your database and your site so that whatever exists in the database displays on your site, right? Does that make sense? And that's why, like, if what we did is actually just assign it to your site. So let's go to a page here. And we did this for a very specific reason. Let's go to BitClub, okay, BitClub Network Review. Okay, so this page you can see when it loads, the site's a little slow. If we go look at the schema of this site, okay, you can see we have the BitClub Network product schema, but this isn't actually the schema. It's just saying pull this particular schema from the database, okay? So now the reason why is if I had this particular schema on 7 or 8 pages of my site and I wanted to edit it site-wide, I would actually edit the schema that exists in the database so that every change happens on every page versus, you know, I can't edit this schema for this page but not have it change for the others. If I did want to do that, I'd have to rebuild or I'd have to duplicate the schema and assign that new schema to a new page. So Rick's saying, no, we have about 17 pages of similar articles, but about different suburbs. So we created the first suburb, then copied the schema. First one is Gleb, second one is Newton. So the article in the second one is about Newton, not Gleb. But when we changed the child schema in Newton, it also changed the one in Gleb. You know what, Rick, you might have to open a chat box in V3 support, and I'll have to take a look because without looking really deep, I can't, unless you're willing to share on the webinar, then I can go look on the webinar. And there might be a bug there, but there might be an assignment issue. I know this, if you're changing a child schema without altering its parent, the parent is the control, right? You have to duplicate the parent to get the new schema on the new page. Because if you have the same parent on different pages, but you're editing child schemas, I just don't see how that would work. Oh, you already fixed the website, but you lost 3 weeks of work because you had 167 errors. Yeah, you should have hit me up in support, man. That sucks. And I don't know if the errors were like PSv3 related errors or if they were like you didn't have certain elements of your schema built in, shit like that, right? That typically unless we take a real deep look, we can't tell that kind of stuff. Rick, you get 3 or 4 notifications per day to say a website is offline, but when you check it isn't offline. Yeah, we'll look into that. I don't get them as much anymore. I once in a while still get them. I don't know why it does that. Remember that those checks are a point in time, right? So like and basically what it is this, it's the uptime monitor that will create those errors. So like you can see that every day we're checking to see if your website is up, but each check is a specific second during the day. And if there's any issue during that second, it will report the website is down, right? And then you will get a notification. If you have something recurring on your site, and you can check actually the problem sites, you'll see that one of these will be red where it failed, but it will create a notification. But if you have a recurring problem, that's definitely a support ticket issue that we'll have to look at, because I'm not getting them anymore. I was getting those a little bit more often, but the more that we work on the plugin and update it, or the software and update it, it's getting better and better. Sherman, how do you build a schema and how do you know what to put in it? We are a cleanup and restoration firm. Sherman, that's a huge question, okay? How do you build schema? We've covered quite a bit how to build schema on past webinars, so I would suggest that you go, what you guys should do, and anyone for this, is go to the Project Supremacy group, okay? Download, go to the files section, and you'll see Bob Perot, Project Supremacy webinar notes. I'm going to download this for you guys and show you. Okay, so download it. Again, we'll just save it to the desktop. Okay, and we're going to open that. Okay, here we go. Okay, and these are Bob's notes that he takes for every webinar on every topic that we've ever done on every webinar. So for instance, you're asking how to build schema. What I would do is download this file, okay, and then come over to the filter and then look up the topic of schema. And you're gonna see, okay, so like here, step-by-step example of a nude build. All you have to do is click on the YouTube hyperlink and it will take you to the YouTube video. Oop, I don't know what I'm doing. And it will show you that part of the past webinar. Bob, I don't know if you're on, but it looks like for some reason these hyperlinks aren't working into YouTube videos. I'm not sure why. I might have screwed something up, but let's hopefully we can double check that. So there's lots, Sherman. There's lots of ways to go and check out past information on how to build schema and assign it. Rick, we had fixed the whole schema validation, said you had duplicate content. We have some support tickets, but they say it goes offline when it syncs and there's nothing we can do about it. Rick, just send me a support ticket. I mean, I can't support right now on the webinar, unfortunately. We can have a chat if you want, me and you though, about the stuff that's going on with you. You do bring up an interesting point though about validation, and I do think I've covered this in the past. Anytime you guys are in here, I want to let you know that when you're validating schema from either this point, so I'm going to validate this schema, okay, what it's validating isn't the schema that you built in Project Supremacy v3. It's validating the entire code of the page. So if you have like a Yoast plugin or a Divi theme that's adding other schema to it, okay, whether it's valid or invalid, this will report on the entire schema that is on your page, not just what you've assigned with Project Supremacy, okay? This particular function, whether you're doing it here or you're doing it in the website manager, okay? Oops. I'll show you what is actually going on in the background. Okay, this validator right here, okay, and we'll perform this validation and it'll give us the, you know, test or fail or whatever, but it won't give you details. That function and this function are the same function, but please remember, it's not just validating Project Supremacy schema. What it's validating is the entire page. So if we look at this page, okay, and we send it over to the structured data testing tool, okay, this is actually the test that it's running, right? So if you guys have extra schema put by something else in your site and it's got errors, you'll see an error inside of Project Supremacy and you might think, oh, Project Supremacy is failing, but it's not, or maybe it is, maybe it's not, right? And the way to check that, guys, is always the Google Structured Data Testing tool, and you'll be able to find what your schema error is. Now, I'll tell you guys right now, like HEntry has nothing to do with Project Supremacy, and the easy way to tell is to click on the type and it'll highlight where that entry exists, right? But with Project Supremacy, like if I click on this product schema and I click on type, okay, you can, if you follow this code back to where the first comment happens, you see right here, I'll make this zoom in a little bit, okay? Here's the schema for product, but it's wrapped in HTML comments, meaning not visible on the website, but visible to Google or visible on the back end. That schema is definitely produced by Project Supremacy. We always wrap our schemas, our HTML, anything we were injecting into your page code, we comment it so that you know it's a troubleshooting issue, right? Like you'll know if it's Project Supremacy that has error schema or not. So when you guys are schema testing, I highly suggest, I don't even suggest it, you have to test it in the testing tool, okay? This validator, it doesn't give you the whole picture. Unless you get a check mark, good. X means go to the schema tool, find out what the problem is, okay? So that's a really important point. I'm glad you brought that up, Rick, because you guys really need to understand what the actual issues are with your schemas. Another site I can run. Errors too, the way that errors come up, guys, there's two types of errors. There's cautionary errors and there's you got to fix this errors. Cautionary errors come up in yellow and you got to fix this errors come up in red. And it's easy to fix typically because you just read the error and it'll say something like, you must supply a URL for this image. So all you'd have to do is go back to that particular page's schema, go to your schema entry for it and fix it inside of here and then save it and then rerun the structured data testing tool test and it will fix. That was actually, that example was covered either last webinar or 2 webinars ago as well when we were doing product stars schema. So it's a good one to go watch to see how to really truly troubleshoot your schema issues. Nat, duplicator schema, can you cover that? Ran, there is, sorry Nat, I just saw a question above that. Schema duplicator is covered in this URL as well as a past webinar, so I won't cover it again because I don't want replays to get choked up and filled with the same stuff, but here's a URL for you. I might as well send this to the entire audience. Okay. Watch this to see how the schema duplicator works. Okay, there's another tab here for Google Stars showing how to input Google Stars. Watch that, and then same thing, go to the file section, look up duplicator, and watch those replays because it's already been covered in quite a bit of detail, Rad. Okay, Nat, you notice that when you're looking at the SEO box, I have, say, keyword oak beams and that the title might be oak green beams and it says keyword not found in the title. That's because the keyword's not in the title. Your keyword is oak beams, but your title says oak green beams. That's not a phrase match, right? So to show that. Okay, so BitClub Network Review, Real Mining Bitcoins, that's my title. So if I put in a target keyword of BitClub, like I'm gonna get a whole bunch of green arrows, right, in my content analysis. Right? But if I put in BitClub Review, I got all X's, even though BitClub exists, you know, kind of in the title. But this is an exact match targeting, meaning there can't be a reverse order and there can't be words in the middle of it. This is definitely an exact match. So your question further, is it best to have exact or risk over optimizing? Test, test, test. There is no right or wrong answer there, Nat. I guess the best answer is go see what your competition is doing for that particular keyword. So like in this instance, you know, my keyword I'm actually going for is BitClub Network Review, right? So if I make that my target keyword, I have it in my page title. It's not in my description because I left my description blank to let Google take care of it. It's not even in my body content, so I'm not really, hey, stop messing about. It's not really hugely optimized. It's in my URL, it's in my title, and it's in my H1, and then that's it. But if we search for that keyword in Google, there it is on the first page. So it's one of those things kind of, Nat, that you have to, you know, the best thing to do is like look at Google for your keyword and see like, okay, what are my other competitors doing in, sorry, review, and should I mimic that? Like BitClub Network Reviews in the title, it's not in the URL. Here it's not in the title or the URL or the description or whatever. So I might even be a little bit over optimized for it, to be honest. Or maybe that, but I also have to take into account what kind of off-page optimization do these guys have, like meaning what kind of authority, how many links do they have, what is their link anchor text and shit like that. And then you'd need a tool like Ahrefs or Majestic or Moz, Open Site Explorer, to really dig deep to see what your competition is doing. If for the on-page elements, it's easy to see just by looking at Google, but that's not the whole picture. It's also very, very important to run these URLs through one of those 3 link aggregator tools to see what their backlink profile looks like as well. And that'll give you not the whole picture, but it'll give you a hell of a lot better picture. Mike, horror story, 40 or more primary pages de-indexed by Google after me screwing up redirects on 404 pages. Besides Google's complicated explanation for reconsider, can you recommend a step-by-step fix? 40 primary pages de-indexed after you screwing up redirects on 404 pages. I'd have to look, Mike, to be honest, to help you with a fix. For 404 pages, I wouldn't redirect 404 pages, guys. I would create a custom 404 page, typically is what I do. Not redirect, because that's just, I mean, SEOs do redirections and shit like that. But like, here's a 404 page example on v3.projectsupremacy.com. So if I put in a page that doesn't exist, I just send it to a custom 404 page and be like, oh, that's not what you're looking for. Maybe here you're looking for the login, or maybe you're looking for our sales page. So I would maybe recommend doing something more like that rather than 404ing, or rather than 301ing. these numbers sound funny. Rather than redirecting a page that doesn't exist to a page that does, create a custom 404 page and don't turn on a redirect, just because that's an SEO thing. Does that help, Mike? Does it give you ideas? I'd have to, you might want to submit a support ticket or chat to me on Facebook to really see what's up. Rick, regarding the duplicator, can you use it on the same site to copy schema to another page? Yeah, so like if you have a site, like the thing with the schema duplicator is it'll work anywhere, anytime on any URL. Like if you guys like the schema that I'm using, and I'm sitting here on webinars showing you that I have brand schema set up for a certain page, all you need is the URL of that page, and you can run it. You can run it through the schema duplicator and literally steal my schema. Or I shouldn't say steal. It's funny because you are, but you're cloning it or you're duplicating it, and then you go and change the information from my information to your information, but you have the exact same structure. Now that means you can do it to your own URLs as well. If I set up a really good local business schema, like for a client, or I don't even have clients anymore, but if for a lead gen site or something like that, and I love that schema and I want to just use it every time, typically what I could do is use the duplicator. And what I'll do is I'll save it into miscellaneous and I'll rewrite everything right away. So you can see it kind of happening with article. I have this article ratings one. I stole that from a URL that I really like. And anytime I want to put it onto a site, I'll duplicate it, change the information, and then assign it over to the site that I want to use it for. Right. So I save good schemas in my miscellaneous folder for later use. No, Ma, I haven't. I'm gonna delete those. David, you're modeling your schema structure. Yeah, you can model schema structures. I mean, as you're surfing the web, guys, like how to, you know, this is kind of where it all started with that feature, was me doing just stupid searches like how to play guitar and stuff. And like when I see things like rich snippets like this, I usually 99% of the time they're going to be schema generated, right? So I immediately want to know, well, hey, wait a minute, what kind of schema did this guy use, right? Because I want to duplicate it to kind of get the same result. Keep these in mind, right? So what you'd want to do is grab the URL for these bad boys and go into your duplicator and run it, right? Right, I already have that one. Obviously, it's this one. It ended up being an article with an aggregate rating, right? But yeah, anytime you guys are going around Google and you see a search and you see awesome, like cool shit popping up, like the rich snippets and stuff like that, run it through the duplicator to see if it's finding any JSON LD schema and save it. Clear out all their information, save the structure so that you can duplicate it onto your own sites. Rick, what you said about using the duplicator, that's what you did. It's probably just an issue, Rick, with something, like I said, I have to take a look, man. Honestly, like I can't do it on the webinar to like, unless you want to share your site, we can dig right in, but that's something that you and I can talk about to see what issue came up. Because if there is a bug, we definitely want to know about it for sure, right? But we have to like really dig in. Nat, what do I look for in good schema? Oh, okay, cool, Rick. Nat, what do you look for in a really good schema? What attracts you to it or makes it a good one to nick? Stuff like this, Nat. Rich snippets, basically. What it was for this one that really attracted me wasn't actually even the rich snippet, because I think I did a different keyword. I think it was like, I think my actual keyword was learn to play guitar, in which he didn't have the rich snippet. This guy has the rich snippet. So let's do this one as an example. But first, to answer your question, what I saw, Nat, that I liked was this. I saw the star ratings in Google, and I saw it rating by votes instead of like if I do a side-to-side comparison. Here's Bit Club Network review where it's rating, you know, a 5 on reviews, but this one was rating 82% on votes, right? Let me make these a little bigger. Okay. I saw that and I was like, ooh, that's different, right? So when I went and checked it out, this is really what it was. And I was like, well, that's a great feature. I want that. And so that's why we built ratings only functionality into Project Supremacy v3, so that we could get people doing just ratings instead of reviews. So to answer your question, the thing that attracts me to schema is the results that get produced in Google. I'll be just doing regular searches in Google and see something I like, and then I'll want to run the schema. So let's actually do that for that last little ditty over there that we just saw. Okay, so something like this where learn to play guitar, I'll see this guy has a really great rich snippet, and I'll be like, all right, is there schema involved in this rich snippet? So I'll take the URL, because I want this result, right? I want an image and I want this freaking big badass result in Google. So the first thing I'm gonna do is be like, all right, is it schema driven? So I'll grab the URL, I'll go to the schema duplicator, okay, and this is, we'll call it rich snippet awesome or something, and I'm gonna save it in a miscellaneous group. I'll run the duplicator, and it's gotta have a proper URL. Let's actually go click on the result and get the proper URL. Duplicator. Okay, so now I know that that's not a JSON LD format schema. If I want to dig deeper on that, okay, I can run this URL, because they're getting that nice result, but it's not JSON LD driven, but I can still run it to the this guy, structured data testing tool. Come on now. I'm probably doing too many things. Here, let's do it over here. So it is article schema, I know that, but it's in microdata format, right? So article schema, guys, is the one that drove that initial idea to build in, you know, the rating system and shit like that. It's article schema. So now I know that. Now I know if I put article schema on all my blog posts and pages, I could end up with that result, right? Something like this. And it's usually question and answer. How do I lose weight in my thighs? Not that I have fat thighs. Belly. I have a fat belly. Here we go. Here's another one, right? Let's go see. Let's duplicate that shit. Lose weight in my belly. Save it to my miss group in case it's awesome. Okay, once again, it's not JSON LD. Okay, next step. Send it to the structured data testing tool and find out what's up. So nothing detected on this one. But yeah, that does pretty much answer the question. So I don't know why they got the result that they did. I do know this. It's probably in my bellow. I do know that they're probably getting these results because they're answering a question really well. If it's not schema based, I bet you this is a huge opportunity, guys, to put in JSON LD schema for article, since we know article provides these, to steal this spot from them, because there's no JSON LD result for this. There's not even microdata. They're just basically, Google's doing that because he has a, you know, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on his page, but there's no schema. So to me, that's a huge, huge opportunity for a single keyword to steal this spot, right? Question and answer based keywords, guys, typically. Okay, here's how do I buy Bitcoin? One of my favorite topics in the world. What do they got? Do they have anything? So you see how we can do this, guys? Does this make sense to everybody? How to use the duplicator and find like little gems of schema in Google and shit like that? There's another opportunity. Right? These guys are getting it, but nobody on that front page is using schema. Like what was the keyword? How do I buy Bitcoin? Or how to buy Bitcoin? So look at, here's an opportunity, right? We know that's an opportunity. I already have a site for how to buy Bitcoin. So here's what I can do. I already have an article for how to buy Ripple. So let's just show you guys. Here's an article for Bitcoin. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at it. Okay, it's all the wrong shit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this over to my Bitcoin site. Well, first I have to find a page that's good for it on my Bitcoin site for this schema, an article about that keyword possibly. That's so I have all these different buying scenarios on my site, how to buy it with a credit card or just buy in general. Let me do it like this. Bitcoin average screwing up my site. So here's a page buying Bitcoins, right? So let's do this. Let's do, let's save this for that page, buying Bitcoin. We already know it's article. So I'm going to save this to my how to make money with Bitcoin site. Okay, so that moves it out of the miscellaneous folder into the how to make money with Bitcoin article schema. There's my buying Bitcoin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign it, and then later on, not on the webinar, I won't do this live on the webinar, but what I'll do is I'll go through each one of these individually, right? And I'll update the content to match my site. So let's go assign it. Because I know article is an opportunity, how to buy Bitcoin as a question and answer. The one rich snippet has no schema, so here's a sweet opportunity. So there's my new article, buying Bitcoin. Okay, I want to assign it to a page. So I'm going to go to post type pages, and I'm going to go how to. Okay, and here we go. How to mine Bitcoins profitably. Let me just double check that that's the right H1. Buying Bitcoin safely. Looks like a post maybe. Buying Bitcoin safely, your safe guide. So let's go back to our schema editor, and it maybe is a post. Posts. Let's show 100. And let's just type in the word safely. This is why I don't like doing stuff live, just because, oh, there it is. It was a page. Okay, buying Bitcoin safely. So I'm going to select this. No schema. Well, where did my, these are probably some of the problems you guys run into. You're like, where the hell did my shit go? Let's go back over here. Oh, you can see what happened? I was on a new tab, and that's why it's not here yet. So I can just refresh this page and it'll show up. It looks like something disappeared, but it actually didn't. I was just on a page that I hadn't refreshed yet. So let's do this again. Browse pages. We know it's a page. Okay, and let's show 100 NGs. and type in safe. There it is. So we'll select it. Buying Bitcoin. Save changes. Right? Now I have article schema on this URL. And now I have an opportunity to possibly take that rich snippet for that keyword search, right? So if I take this and I run that through structured data testing tool, sorry, I got too many tabs open. Let's close some shit. Right, I just put an article schema on here. It's the wrong article schema, I need to update it, but it's there, it's assigned. I have lots of pages with no schema on them, Rick. I haven't built schema for every page on my site. I'm mostly lazy. Okay, there it is. There's our article schema. Right, now I just have to go in and change all this shit because I'm showing guitar schema for a how to buy Bitcoin site. But all I need to do is update it now, and that's it. And then if I really want to take it a step further, you know, I can make those aggregate ratings really count. There's a backup. We would go into this page. And I freaking hate Divi now. And I would put in my that ratings only schema for this page, right? Because if I go to this page and I look at what's going on, okay, I actually have real reviews on this page. Okay, well, I might as well leave it as reviews, but if I wanted to, I could change it to ratings, but I got real reviews anyways. So now I have like an actual article schema for this with real ratings on it. So within the next 2 days, these star ratings, this 4.9 will show up in Google, and possibly even the rich snippet, right? Make sense to everybody? Just want to make sure everyone's, any questions? Yeah, schema duplicator and Google searching and finding rich snippets is a killer tactic. It's just a great way to really see a result in Google that you like and know exactly how to get it, and it's so easy, right? With V3 duplicator and then our schema injector and shit like that. It's just so easy to just steal shit. I shouldn't say steal. This is a competitive advantage. The big question, Nat says, should you put schema on every page? I know not the home page. Okay, that's not quite correct for the home page, Nat. You can have schema on the home page. What you cannot have on the home page, or I shouldn't say cannot, what you shouldn't have, or what will never work for the home page, you'll never get star ratings on your home page. So you should be marking up your home page. You know, my site is a big brand, How to Make Money with Bitcoin. I should have schema on my home page, and I do. You can see here. I have my brand schema on my homepage. Shut up. I don't know where that's coming from. This one. Okay. Sorry, I had music in my ears. Homepage schema, definitely do it. But if you assign aggregate rating to your homepage, you're not gonna get the star ratings in Google, and that's the homepage issue with schema. No aggregate ratings, so just you might as well not even have it. Okay. And then the other part of your question is, you know, should you put schema on every page? Yes and no. No, because if you have, you know, 50 websites and they each have 10 pages, you're going to be building schema for 500 pages. The shit that really matters is where you should start and then work down from there. It's not a requirement to have schema on every page. It's an opportunity, and that's kind of how you have to look at it. If putting schema on a page is going to give you an edge in the SERPs by having stars or rich snippets or some cool shit like that, then yeah, you're going to want to put schema on there because it's the quickest way to get those things. But is it necessary to go schema up every single page? No, I wouldn't say it is. Think of schema, guys, as the new on-page optimization for Google. So like where we used to do meta keywords and meta descriptions, or we still do some of these things, but like the old way that Google read our background information was all those things, and those are still important and relevant, especially because that's what Google's displaying in their searches. Like, you know, when Google's doing a search like how to buy Bitcoin or whatever, okay, our title is still important, and that's a meta tag. Our description is still important, and that's a meta tag. But think of schema as the new, more improved things that Google's reading in the background of your site to understand what your site's about, or to help to display new rich snippets. It's like on-page optimization 2.0, right? It's just a better way to do things. Man, I have some freaking long ass answers to short ass questions. I apologize about that. Mike, are you talking about this right here? This page? Yeah, this is start.me. It's my bookmarking tab. It's a free service, start.me. You have to sign up for an account, and then you can create all these bookmarks and cool shit like that. And then you can have different pages. Super helpful. Too bad they don't have an affiliate program. I know their only product is a $20 upgrade to remove ads, which is bullshit. So stupid. They could be doing a lot better. Todd, we should buy that company. Actually, Todd and I did want to build a bookmark service, and then we found that. It's like, holy shit, they're way ahead of what we were going to do. But our marketing would have been better for sure. Guys, I don't see any more questions coming in, so I'll give you guys about another minute, but kind of done with the presentation for today. So unless there's questions, we'll probably just end the webinar. Oh, articles APIs are fixed, by the way, if anyone was using one of the APIs here. We did fix those. Those are broken. AJ, can I show you a site of a client with an SEO meta tags? On the webinar, AJ? You want to show a client site? Yeah, I mean, sure, I don't care. Yeah, give me the URL and we can pop it on the webinar. Okay, see you, Mike. Okay, so here's the site AJ gave us. And what do you want to show here? You want to show the meta tags? So I'll show you guys what the typical meta tags are. Oh, you have Yoast and V3. Cool. So here's title tags. To me, this is probably Yoast. And you can see Yoast is doing the same thing here, guys. This site is optimized with Yoast SEO plugin. They have the comment to show you that all this data, okay, this whole section right here is inserted by Yoast. So they're doing canonicals, open graph, Twitter. There's some JSON LD shit that they're putting in there. So then if we want to look for supremacy stuff, okay, we have Project Supremacy schema as well, and then Project Supremacy meta description. So you're definitely having some conflicts, I would say, where Yoast is handling some things, and Project Supremacy handling others. Yeah, what I would do here, if you want, AJ, if you're looking for advice, is kind of that process I talked about at the start, at the very start of the webinar, where you should, number one, set up your site properly. Let's leave. I'll show you this real quick. Yeah, I got vape tongue. My tongue's getting all numb. So basically, force your PS SEO, right? Here's your setup. What you're going to do is you're going to come into SEO settings. You're going to turn on force and enable PS SEO. You're going to go through your post types, just, make them title, set your index and follows, however you like, for these three tabs: post types, taxonomies, and MISC. Okay, set those all up properly. Then you're going to go over into your dashboard. Once those things are done, you're going to go to your migration tab. You're gonna click yes to migrating from Yoast to Project Supremacy v3. Once you've migrated, you're gonna go to any of your posted pages, double check that your tick boxes are on for all pages, meaning this little guy here. You wanna see all green check marks. Then you're going to double check that your titles and your URLs and your descriptions for your Yoast plugin and your PS SEO plugin are the same. And if they are, you're going to deactivate Yoast and this whole problem will go away. Okay, where you're having a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Okay, and let's look at this in the schema structured data testing tool, because we can see quite easily from our source code that you are having JSON LD written by Yoast, and you are having JSON LD written by Project Supremacy. Okay, and you might be like, oh, look at this, automotive business has a warning. Who's writing it? Okay, so you click on type, you follow it back up, you see that it's Project Supremacy that's writing it. Good, because that's easy to fix. Okay, price range. The price range field is recommended. Please provide a value. So what you're going to want to go do is go back into your aggregate rating setting for your homepage schema and insert the price range. And I'll show you that. Very, very simple. Go to your schemas. This is my shit, obviously, but you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go to your site in question with the error. You're going to go into your aggregate rating because that's where the error is coming from. Click on this to hide everything that's not showing. And it is right here. Oh, this one doesn't have it either. Okay, so I'm gonna reopen this up because I would be receiving the same error. I'm gonna press Control F and look for price. Sorry, it's not in aggregate, it's in local, the business. No, sorry, brain fart. So load up the local business schema. Hide. Okay, and it's this field right here, price range, okay? Do a Control F and look for price range, okay? And just insert something like that, $100 to $1,000. And when you do that and you save it, this error will disappear. Then, okay, we see there's more schema, website. Who's writing this? Click on @type, okay? Read the script. And you'll notice there it is, Yoast SEO plugin. This site is optimized with Yoast. Okay, so we know two things for sure. This schema is by Yoast, this schema is by Project Supremacy. Is there any problem with that as far as Google's looking at? Nope. There's one warning on the automotive Project Supremacy business. Is that the optimal situation for you as a user or for your client? No, not really. I would use one thing rather than a combination of two things, and I would personally choose Project Supremacy v3. So, AJ, what if you change the description in PSv3 and you want to use what you created in PSv3? Then you have to turn off Yoast. Make sure you do that process first, though. Migrate what you have in Yoast, because you probably started this site or the client started this site with Yoast and did a bunch of work with titles and descriptions, I'm assuming. And if that's the case, that's why you want to migrate the work that's already done over into v3. And then you can, I wouldn't delete Yoast, I would just deactivate Yoast, because if you delete Yoast and then something goes wrong with Project Supremacy titles or whatever, you'll have the Yoast as a backup to turn it back on while you fix the Project Supremacy errors. But to be honest, guys, I mean, it's a title and a description. I mean, it'll fix, it's easy to fix either way, right? I just like to say that to people, like, don't delete Yoast, just deactivate Yoast until you're happy with your titles and your descriptions and shit like that. And then once you're fully confident, then you can permanently go over to Project Supremacy. But I mean, our goal, obviously, guys, is to get everybody that's using Yoast over to Project Supremacy, because it's just more feature rich, right? There's just more shit. It's just better. Mike, are tags a no-no now because of tag URLs creating duplicate content? No, I don't think so, Mike. I mean, tags are a good opportunity to create a new URL structure that you didn't have before. And I mean, that tactic is highly used in mass page builds, like with SERP tech and shit like that. I would be on a real site or a client site or a money site. I would be very, very stealthy about the tags that I use. And one suggestion I could give you, Mike, is so for instance, if we go to this Bitcoin site and I go into the project planner, when I'm optimizing, heavily for a single keyword, so if I go into like how to make money with Bitcoin, and I'm optimizing heavily for a certain keyword, so let's say like where's this guy? Actually, that's probably not the best example. Let's go to the investing group. Okay, so I'm optimizing heavily, like look at the freaking search volume of these. I'm optimizing heavily for, say it was invest in Bitcoins, because it's the one keyword that has 135,000 searches, but the URL count is really low. Say I'm optimizing heavily for this keyword, even though I teach you guys how to use all the tools available to you inside of the project planner, you still could use these additional keywords as tags in this particular post, right? Just to have the URL functionality for these. You'll keep the same title, H1 and description on the tag URLs, but you'll get the URL functionality. So use it wisely, I would say. Don't overdo it, but this might be a good scenario. I'll actually test that, Mike. That's actually, I never even thought of that test until you brought it up. But yeah, I'm optimizing for this keyword primarily. I am optimized for all keywords amongst this shit, but then I could go and add the URLs by using tags. Do you use tags on pages? No, I think tags are related to posts only, right? Can you tag a page? There's probably a plugin that you can download to tag a page. I think tags are for posts though, primarily. I'd Google that. Can you add tags to WP pages? Tag pages, there's a plugin for it. There you go. So yes, you can. You still use Tag Machine. Do I still recommend that? Yeah, it's a great plugin to find quick tags. I just be careful with, I wouldn't go and put 1,000 tags on a page, every page. Especially, remember, it's all about the type of site that you're working with. Like if it's a SERP tech build, fine, that's what it's intended for, and it's meant to be quick in, quick out. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. You're risking a lot with Google because you're breaking a lot of Google TOS with your builds and stuff like that because it works so friggin' good. But on a money site, that you really care about and you're thinking long term about, you don't want to go and do those really black hat strategies because you risk getting de-indexed and you risk getting in trouble. So you have to kind of just remember what type of site it is that you're working on and how aggressive or black hat do you want to be with each one of those things. AJ, what if you want to change the description and you're saying you use project management? One thing I want to mention about project planner, guys, when I'm saying, I know you guys know that Project Planner is backwards compatible with titles and descriptions to the page that it's attached to. But you can't, if you build these groups or whatever and you don't create a poster page or you don't attach it, so like this green check mark means that this mining group and this mining setup, this title, description, H1 and URL and shit like that is actually physically attached to a poster or page, meaning it becomes backwards compatible with that page. But if you don't see this green check mark, that probably means that you created a group, you created optimization and shit like that, but you haven't created a page yet or attached it to a page. So if you update any of the description, title, URL, and it's not attached to the correct page, then it won't do the backwards compatibility thing, AJ. So the scenario for you, once again, is migrate everything over from Yoast. If you want to import your pages, what you need to do is come into the project planner, and then you would want to do, where is that guy? I don't do this one. Add a group from, oh yeah, this one. Add a group from an existing page or a post. Okay, then it'll ask you which pages or posts do you want to add a group for. It's loading right now. And then you choose the pages or posts. Then it pulls in. Okay, so here we go. Then it'll pull in that it'll create a group for that particular page or post, and then pull in the title, the description, the H1, and the URL, then you can add keywords, and it becomes attached automatically when you do it like that. So that's kind of what you would want to do. So AJ, you're saying you did all that. I'm not sure what your issue is then, AJ. I think because everything's coming one at a time in between other people's comments, so I need to type a big long message instead of like short little ones, because then I can see it better of what your issue is, and then I'll read these other questions and come back to you. Nat, Google Tag Manager and pixel tracking, where does this fit in with PSv3, or is that totally a different management tool? Well, the Tag Manager is a way of creating schema through the Google Tag Manager tool, where it basically loads up, shit like this. It'll load up the code of your site, and then you just select like an image or something, and then you say tag this and whatever. The Tag Manager is another way to build microdata or schema for a site. Project Supremacy is another one, so it's a different thing. As far as pixel tracking. Pixel tracking is on a site-by-site basis. That's in the dashboard. Sorry, it's in the SEO settings. And scripts. I install my pixel tracking scripts in our header scripts globally, or you can per post or per page ignore globals and insert individuals in the PS SEO box. Hopefully that answers your question, Matt. Raf, you created a site and it ranks and it works awesome. Lead gen. By mistake, it went on the Google Search Console. It's been there for almost a year and Google has not de-indexed a thing. You created a site and it ranks and works awesome. Oh yeah, you're talking about like the tags and stuff, Raf? Yeah. Yeah, SERPtech works, man. It works badass. Works really good. Like, I'm so surprised. Like, I always show this on webinars and I'll keep showing it. This site was one of the very first sites I created with SERPtech, and it really breaks a lot of the laws of Google TOS. And it's still, like, if I search for any of these keywords in Google, like, we're still ranking on the first page. Like, this one even has 2 listings. It's still ranking really, really awesome, even with spammy structured data markup and spammy, like, this is black hat as shit, right? But the thing is, it works for now. Still works. I haven't touched that in a long, long time. Okay, guys, I'm at the end of the questions again. You put it on Google Analytics and it's still good. Well, yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Like, Google Analytics isn't like you're saying, like, they're not. I know what you're saying. Like, Google Analytics should be able to read that site and be like, whoa, no, and get rid of it. But you're saying it's still indexed and working, which is just great. Type a 1 if you guys have more questions. Let's do it that way. It's nice and fast. Give me a 1 if you have another question, and then you can type in the question later. At least I know, though, if we don't get any 1s, then there's no more questions. Nobody can think of a single question about V3, about websites. Okay, Nat. I'll wait for you. Whose site was this? It's by Junk Cars. Let me see. Okay, that was AJ's, and he appears to be gone. If Google Analytics, it's not really good to be used. How do you track it all? I'm not quite sure I understand the full scope of the question. Yes, if Google Analytics, it's not really good to be used. How do you track it all? Like, track which parts though? I mean, because Google Analytics, Webmaster Tools and stuff, they give you a lot of information. Yeah, I already don't remember what the last question was. It was probably Raph when he was saying he put Google Analytics on a SERPTech site, which we've always recommended you don't do. And then you're saying, okay, well, if you recommend that we don't do that, what do you use to track it all? And I'm still, I guess, like, what do you mean by track this, the rankings or track the errors, or for tracking traffic and stuff like that, I've typically used Stat Counter. As far as like with that asbestos law.pro site, I don't know, other than through the rankings that the site has, how Google really views it, because I don't have Google Analytics on it. If I put like Google Analytics and Webmaster Tools on it, then I could go in and really see what Google thinks about that site, like what page errors I have, what my sitemap errors are, what my schema errors are, schema errors is structured data test tool, but if there's any manual actions against site, which there's not because it's ranking so good. But I mean, analytics just gives you a deeper level of information about Google itself, right? What does Google think about your site? Which you can't really get that anywhere else. So I ignore it. I mean, if I'm ranking, no problem. Google likey, right? So I ignore it, especially on SERPTech builds. I ignore what Google thinks anyways, because they're not meant for that. Traffic and phone calls is the real measure of things. So that Asbestos Pro site is a SERPTech site. Yeah, it is. Total SERPTech site. You can even tell just by looking, especially the way that I do things. You guys that are in SERPTech know that this is actually not even the best build in the world, but it still works. Oh, they're there. Yeah. Anything else, guys and gals? Probably about it then. Okay, that's fine. We're almost at 2 hours anyways, which is crazy. Yeah, thanks, Nat. Okay, guys, we'll end it at that. Replays, once again, as always. I'll put the webinar up. I'll put the URL up. I'll put the webinar up tomorrow probably, or tonight, depending how the day goes. But replays are always going to be here. I'll put this in your chat box. Here's all the past replays. Remember Bob's notes in the group. If you want to search for a particular, each one of these is like 2 hours long again, right? So a lot of information. I know you guys don't want to have to watch every webinar to find a certain topic, but in the Facebook group, you can download from the file section Bob's spreadsheet, and that will send you right to the webinar and the time in the webinar where we're talking about that topic, and you definitely want to use that to speed up your research process. Here's the link to the replays. Replay for today will be up probably tomorrow, and we will see you guys next week. Oh yeah, did you guys learn anything? As always, of course, I always want to know that you guys are getting good content and expanding your knowledge base on PSv3 and trying new things, and I want to make sure that everyone's really starting to open their minds, continually opening their minds to the opportunities that are available to you with Project Supremacy v3 and getting new ideas and new results. Oh, and the other thing, the last thing I'll ask you guys for is I come on and do these webinars every week for 2 hours, right? We don't charge anybody for them or anything like that. It's just part of your package. But you know that Todd and I want to sell this, but testimonials, guys, from you guys is what really helps us sell Project Supremacy v3. Okay, so please, guys, when you're getting good ranking increases or you're getting stars or you're getting new clients, please share that with us in the Facebook group. Please give us your testimonials, because it really helps us spread the word. And that's all I'm asking for in return for coming on every week and sharing all this info with you for 2 hours, even though I am just supporting my software as well. But it's just a nice favor from you guys to me and Todd as well. So please go in the group, share your testimonials and results as they're happening. It also encourages other members as well. It's just all around good shit. So Todd, I don't know if you're still on or not, or if you had to go get the kitties, but let's leave it at that, guys. I'm going to end the webinar. Thanks for coming on, and see you in the group. See you next week. Bye, bye, bye.